One of New York's most prominent council members and one of New York's leading housing advocates are partnering to take on a real estate company formerly headed by Jared Kushner. Councilmember Richie Torres and Aaron Carr, who heads the nonprofit Housing Rights Initiative, will investigate allegations that Kushner companies falsified perhaps more than 80 building permits and that they failed to disclose the existence of rent-stabilized units in their buildings, a move that, in essence, if it happened, allegedly allowed the Kushner company to harass rent-stabilized tenants and avoid tighter oversight during renovations. As part of our Chasing the Dream initiative on poverty, opportunity, and inequality in America, we're taking a look into these allegations. And to help us and to focus on all this, we're pleased to welcome both Richie Torres and Aaron Carr to the program. Gentlemen, welcome, as always.
Thanks for having us.
Aaron, let me ask you the first question. How was it that this investigation got started?
So Housing Rights Initiative, in partnership with Councilmember Torres, uncovered that Kushner companies falsified not one, not two, not three work permit applications, but 80 work permit applications in an attempt to remove apartments from our affordable housing stock. So New York City is obviously currently going through an affordable housing crisis. Rent stabilization is a response to that. It sets limits on how much landlords can charge tenants each year in rent. In an attempt to circumvent those laws and to deregulate apartments, it appears that Kushner companies deliberately used invasive and destructive construction practices to harass tenants out of their apartments. And to hide what it was doing from the government, it had falsified over 80 work permit applications stating that none of the units in those buildings were rent stabilized when hundreds of those units were rent stabilized. So over time, from 2015 to 2016, the rent stabilization count in these buildings dropped by about 100 units, 33%. So the very thing that Kushner companies was lying about to the government, they were removing from these buildings. So this is not an accident. This is not a clerical error. This is a window into a predatory business model.
I want to come back to talk about some of the specifics of that. But Richie, tell me then, investigation getting started, right? What sort of power might you have in terms of this investigation, and what sort of consequences could come from the investigation?
Look, the investigation is multifaceted, right? So one focus is Kushner companies. We're going to investigate the prevalence of falsified building permits, including but not limited to Kushner companies, because we suspect that the problem is far more pervasive than Kushner companies, that Jared Kushner is a poster child for a much broader phenomenon. But the second is a failure of governance and enforcement here in New York City. You know, we were able to uncover these falsified building permits simply by reviewing publicly available records, property tax statements from the Department of Finance and building permits from the Department of Buildings. And we came to uncover that Kushner companies would tell the Department of Finance that it had rent-regulated units in its buildings, and then would tell the Department of Buildings that it had no rent-regulated units in those very same buildings. Right. So the lack of information sharing between the Department of Finance and the Department of Buildings meant that the left hand of city government did not know what the right hand was doing.
I want to ask you about that, but we should state first that the Kushner companies, in response to this, have said that they never intentionally filled out these documents. They said if there were errors and it was brought to their attention, they endeavored to change them right away. So in response, their response has been, look, if it happened, we didn't intend it to happen.
So again, you can infer intent from behavior. Mm-hmm. If there were only one or two falsified permits, then you could easily explain it away as a typographical error, which is the language that Kushner companies is using. But when you have more than 80 falsified permits across 34 properties in the span of 4 years, then what you have is a pattern. What you have is a nefarious scheme for what I call the weaponization of construction, the use of illegal construction for harassing tenants out of their apartments and deregulating affordable housing units out of existence.
How is it then, and you touched on this a moment ago, but I suspect some people are watching saying, well, how in the world could this have gone on, if it indeed happened, for a span of 4 years, and nobody in government, as you said, it's easy to check, nobody in government actually checked it to say, whoa, wait a minute, this isn't accurate. How does that happen?
I think Housing Rights Initiative has done better enforcement than the Department of Buildings, which has thousands of employees. But I think Aaron can answer that question.
Yeah, I mean, it's not that the Department of Buildings has fallen asleep behind the wheel. It's that they've fallen asleep before they even got into the car. This is an ongoing problem. It is an intractable problem, a fundamental problem with our agencies working in their own silos, not communicating with each other, not sharing data, not proactively looking into our enforcement system. Kushner Companies, at the end of the day, is just a symptom. The larger problem is an enforcement problem. And until you have enforcement agencies that communicate with one another and systematically and proactively look into not just individual buildings or apartments, but entire portfolios, this kind of behavior is going to continue to occur.
Because if you have somebody who's an owner or a manager, and they either intentionally or unintentionally make a mistake on one of these, you would think that the safety net would be enforcement.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's worth noting that falsifying a legal instrument is not only a misdemeanor under local law, it's a felony under state law.
Explain to me, Aaron, the notion of what the impact of this would be specifically, so that let's start off with me as a tenant, all right? If I'm a tenant in a building and my existence is not disclosed, essentially, how does that impact me in the short run and in the long run?
So it's all about oversight. If you're not telling the Department of Buildings that you have rent-stabilized tenants, there is going to be less oversight because rent-stabilized tenants are entitled to limited rent increases and automatic renewal leases. So landlords like Kushner Companies don't want to be limited. They are looking for limitless profits. And in one of their acquisitions, they purchased 3 rental buildings in Queens for $40 million. They lied on these forms. The rent stabilization count plummeted across these 3 buildings, and then they sold it just 2 years later for a $20 million gross profit. They sold it for $60 million. So committing illegal acts, circumventing rent stabilization laws, is a lucrative business.
So they essentially have to get these rent-stabilized tenants out of the building?
Yeah.
So that they can, again, turn it over and make a profit. But how does that happen? If I'm a rent-stabilized tenant, and a business is not disclosing my existence, how do they then manage to get me out of the building if I know that I'm a rent-stabilized tenant?
Yeah, so construction harassment in this event. There's many tools that a landlord can use, or a landlord that's not following the law can use, to push tenants out of their apartments. It appears that Kushner Companies is using construction harassment, which is a deliberate attempt to make life so unbearable through illegal, invasive, and construction practices that the tenants will just forego their rights to rent
I just want to get out of here. My life has become miserable. I'm just going to go someplace else.
And I want to say that, and this is not hyperbolic, construction harassment is not just an annoying condition. It is a form of physical and psychological torture. And what I mean by that is, in the midst of an affordable housing crisis, why would a tenant give up their right to affordability? It's for the sake of their sanity and their safety when landlords like Kushner Companies are turning these buildings into a construction apocalypse.
Yeah. Last question for you, Richie, as a consequence of your investigation. If, in fact, and again, we don't know, but if, in fact, these allegations are proven to be so, what sort of consequences are we talking about?
Well, look, we have reason to suspect that Kushner Companies is playing Russian roulette with the lives and livelihoods of New Yorkers. If we uncover evidence of a crime, be it a misdemeanor or a felony, then we would have a legal obligation to refer to law enforcement authorities for criminal prosecution. Right. So the investigation will not only culminate in an investigative report with findings and legislative recommendations, but it also could culminate in a criminal referral.
All right. Well, it's an interesting subject matter. We appreciate, Richie, as always, having you here. Aaron, it's a pleasure having you here also to explain this all to us, and hopefully we'll talk with you a little bit more as this continues.
Thank you so much.
Gentlemen, thank you. Appreciate it. Be well.